Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today what we're going to talk about is a square foot garden. So what is a square foot garden and why do you really want to try and make one? Well, I mean, you don't have to, but it is a way to pack as much as possible into as small an area as possible. Thus the square feet. You know, how much can you put into a square foot? Now, I will tell you that I've been on several different websites and looked around, and some people are talking about packing a lot into a square foot. I gotta say, I don't know that you can actually pack as much as they say you can into that 1 square foot of garden. All right, because your plants have a certain amount of needs. Now, if you're going to fertilize heavily, then you probably can put more than you can if I'm just putting stuff into my dirt that I have amended with a lot of compost and so on. Then I will continue to do so. But it becomes a competition thing. Are there enough nutrients in the soil to support all the life that you're putting into it? Now, with that being said, one of the things a lot of people don't understand, okay, is it's not a zero-sum game. You put stuff in, it all gets sucked out, you got to keep putting more stuff in. That's not how it works. When the plants get in there and the roots all combine together, just like what you see when you go out into the woods and you find like an open patch that's got a ton of different things growing all up in it, weeds and so on. Those plants feed off of each other. The roots all get together, harmonize, and work together. All right, they provide life in the soil, and that life, grows, dies, procreates, all fertilizing the soil. So it's not necessarily that zero-sum game where you've got to have enough nutrients in the soil at the time to plant in it. But because like my dirt back here has been sitting bare for a few days, well, a couple of weeks now, a week or so, I don't know. That tends to leach some of that nutrient out of the soil. So we want to get as much as possible in as quickly as possible so that we get that growth coming up and the growth going down. The growth going down helps to improve the fertility of the soil. The growth going up helps to shade, cool, and maintain the moisture levels of the soil. So all of this is a fantastic thing. The idea is that when it's all said and done, you want to have as much of this soil covered by leaves and by plants as possible, so that you can keep that temperature down and keep the moisture levels up. So there's a couple of things you want when you're doing your square foot garden. One, of course, is your batch of seeds. What kind of seeds do you want to plant? What do you want in this garden? All right, so that's the one thing. Another thing you want is to have labels, okay? Because you're going to be planting every square foot. Now, you don't have to mark it off with string like I did, but you do want some way of identifying where a foot is. Now, I use my foot, all right, as about a foot. Yours might be bigger. I don't know. We're not going to compare feet size, are we? Okay. Anyway, so mine are about a foot, thus a foot, all right. So you can use that as a measurement. You can actually mark it out, string it off, do whatever you want, put sticks in the ground, so that you got some idea of about what a foot is, square wise, and so you keep everything kind of neat and even. Though really neatness doesn't necessarily count in a garden like this, okay? But you want to have labels so that you know what you've planted when, because like I planted carrots, but of course my carrots have not grown yet. So, I don't know what's there until I see the actual growth come up. So in the meantime, I need to have some sort of labeling system. And it's always nice, like I've got 3 different tomatoes so far, and the tomatoes, I've got different varieties. So I obviously want to know what variety I have. You can usually tell if you're good at it, but you don't really want to rely on that. You want to know kind of what you got where. Okay? Now, plant. Do you want to plant? All right, there's a ton of planters out there. There's a ton of different things that you can do to get it all planned out exactly where you want what and all that. Some of them, most of them cost some sort of money. If you're willing to invest the money, by all means, you can do that. I will tell you, it's not as complicated as people make it sound. I will recommend one thing that you can download offline. Give me 1 second. And that one thing would be this. This is a companion planting chart. I downloaded it from the internet, and there's a ton of them out there. All right, and what does that do for you? Well, it tells you which plants go well with which other plants. Okay, so you don't want to put something next to a plant that it doesn't get along with. All right, there are certain plants out there that just don't like other plants. and then there's something called allelopathy, I think it's called, but basically where there are other plants that if you put into your garden tend to suppress the growth of other plants around them so that they have the most sun, they have the most nutrients, and so on. There are allelopathic plants that do that naturally. So you don't want to do that either. All right, so you know me, I hate just talk. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to go about doing some of this planting. Give me just 1 second. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at our companion planting chart and have an idea of what we want to grow where. All right, so I've got some beans planted, which is a great thing, the bush beans, to have in the ground near your tomatoes, because beans provide nitrogen for the soil. All right, and another thing that's good is nasturtiums. Now I like nasturtiums because they're a really cool, like I got beans right here. That's the labels. That's why you need the labels, so you can see what you got planted. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I want also to have some marigolds. Now we had marigolds in this plot before, and so what you see is there's a few baby marigolds that are just starting to sprout up, which is great because that means I don't have to go out and buy any. And then another thing I want is nasturtiums. Okay, now nasturtiums are a good crop to have around your other plants because they're a trap crop. Basically, they allow the bugs to actually go after that crop or after that plant, rather than, like I said, it's a trap crop, so they actually will draw bugs in, all right, and the bugs will pick on them instead of picking on the plants that you want to survive. All right, so I am going to put some nasturtiums right here. All right. Now, how many do you plant per square, or per square foot? And that's kind of up to you. You kind of got to know about how big your plants are going to get. Like I've seen where they recommend 9 bean plants inside of a 1 foot square. Dude, if you get a bush bean, I mean, you might want, I don't know, I put 5 in this one here. I don't know that all 5 will grow. I can always cut them back. But I mean, I would say probably 4, maybe 1 in each square corner. All right, you just kind of got to think about it and decide, well, what makes more sense? You know what I mean? So, and that's, with the size of the plant and so on. We do want things packed in well, but we don't want things overpacked. All right. Now nasturtiums says about a 1/2 inch deep. The first knuckle of your finger is usually about 1 inch, so we're going to punch them in about half of that. And I'm going to put 9 plants. Am I going to put 9? Yeah, I think I'm going to put 9 nasturtiums right here in this square. Now, is that too many? I don't know, man. I'm going to tell you, I have had no luck with nasturtiums. For whatever reason, I just can't seem to grow them well. So we're going to try again. Now, I got peppers here and I got tomatoes there, so that should help to shade the nasturtiums. So we'll see how it all works out. And just put 1 seed in each hole. Now, if you're not confident that your seeds are good, you can put multiple seeds per hole. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put 1 per. If 1 or 2 doesn't grow, that should be just fine. Alright, so we're going to cover them holes back over. Like so, and boom, there we go. I have got 9 nasturtiums planted. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the seeds. Another thing too that a lot of people don't realize is if you got your seeds out, try and keep them in the shade, because heat does affect how well a seed will germinate. All right, well, all right, I'm sorry. If you get them out in the sun and they get cooked, they're not going to germinate nearly as well. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. So now I know that nasturtiums are good with tomatoes and all that, but you can actually, that's why you got your chart. You pull it up, and on my chart it's got smiley faces next to the things that it likes, okay? So I go down and follow the chart. Mr. Kitty, come on, up, up, up. I know, Mr. Kitty. Love, love, love. So you just simply follow the chart down under nasturtiums. It's right here. And look for tomatoes on the other side. QRST all the way at the bottom. And you'll see that tomatoes love nasturtiums. Right? Oh, no, right there? Yes. They have a little smiley face. Alright, so that tells me my nasturtiums and my tomatoes are going to get along great. Some of the other ones that are good for tomatoes is basil. I don't have my basil grown up enough yet to put in the garden, but soon. I got a few. They'll be coming out here soon. Okay, but that's really basically all there really is to growing a square foot garden. What do you put next to what? I mean, you know, for the most part, there'll be things that don't get along, okay? As long as you don't put those together, like garlic does not get along with beans, doesn't get along with, let's see here, basically all the beans. Garlic doesn't get along with cabbage, and garlic doesn't get along with sunflowers. All right, that's really what you're looking to avoid. So as long as you don't have planted things that just for some reason or another annoy each other, you should be fine. Okay, and then like I said, the last thing, you know, I really want to stress is how many do you put in. All right, it's going to be way better if you're planting from seed to plant more than you need than less. You can always, if the plants start to get big, start to cut them back. But the idea is that we do want to go ahead and shade the soil. We want as much coverage on the soil as possible so that we have less sunlight hitting the soil itself and mostly hitting the leaves, and we have less evaporation from the heating of the soil. We want to keep it cool, we want to keep it damp. I will come out here and I will try and water this daily. I kind of messed up the last few days, but that's okay. We're going to get back on it. But I will try and water this as much as possible daily so that it keeps the soil nice and moist and cool. Now is a great time to plant them. I mean, right now we got like 60 some odd degrees, just a slight breeze. I mean, it's a fantastic day for planting. Highly recommend it. If you got time today, get out and do some planting. Tomorrow is going to be a bit cloudier here in the northeast Florida, the Jacksonville area, with a little bit of rain, and then we're going to have more rain Sunday. I'm not the weather guy, obviously. I'm taking this from somebody else. But the thing is, now is a good time to plant, and then you got Sunday coming. We got like 80% chance of rain, so you'll have a lot of natural rain to come down. And natural rain is always going to be better than watering, all right? Particularly here because I don't have a well, so I have to use city water. And city water has chlorine and other things that aren't as good for your plants. So rain is by far and large way better for your plants than anything else. So pray for rain. If you got to dance, do a dance. Let's get some rain. Actually, we're talking about issues with fire hazard right now, so that's usually not good. Though we already have gotten more rain than we did last year this time. All right, so I'm very pleased with that. All right, well, that's what I got going on. I'm going to continue to plant. I'm not going to drag you through with all of it. Again, labels, a companion planting chart, and seeds, and some place to plant. That's really all it takes, okay? I know that a lot of people are making it so complicated. Well, you got to make sure you have this with that, and this with that, and you know. No, it really isn't that critical, okay? Get as much as you can in the ground, get it planted. If you overplant, no big deal. Worst comes to worst, just take it back out. Either cut it back or pull it out and plant it somewhere else. All right, it's really not that big a thing. All right, highly recommend it. It's done fantastic for me year over year. So, Square Foot Garden, give it a shot. All right, thanks for stopping by. Do me a favor, give me a like and a subscribe, and let me know what you think. But most importantly, grow something. Get a Square Foot Garden going in your yard. You'd be surprised how much you can pack into a small space. All right, thanks for stopping by. Y'all come back and see me.